What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. OG here, and I want to try to help as many of you out as I can, those who plan on doing a little Black Friday spending within UFL. So, if you're like me, you are a degenerate that loves spending on football games because, if you're like me, this is my hobby. So, where others use their disposable income, for lack of a better term, on golf clubs or a brand new bowling ball or arts and crafts or getting their hair did or a car or accessories or whatever else. I have my bills, I have my finances for any other life needs, and then I have my football games and typically speaking, spending to get better players. That goes for every football game. Now, unfortunately, UFL and eFootball have the worst setup for improving your team. Why is that? Because they don't have an open market. So what happens is this, and it happened to me today. You start to build your team up, right? And you get 1, 2, 4, 5 players, and then you start having just a few positions that you need to fill. But unlike FC, where you can get any players, right, in tradable packs and then transition them into coins by selling them on the market and then going to get your Holland or your Van Dyke or your Allison or whoever you need, instead you have to find the packs that have the player or players that you want, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, and hope that you pack that player. If you don't, you end up with Embuemo when you already have a Yamal. You end up with a Salah when you already have a Yamal, right? You end up with an Isak when you play one striker and have Holland. You keep getting these players that you don't need because you already have a better player or a player that you like in that position, and you get duplicates or sometimes even 3 or 4 of that player, right? I was going for Holland because, as we all know, Holland is a broken card. There's 2 different versions of Holland. I went for the fast shot one, right? He's 90 rated. There's a 91 rated. But even though either one would be great, I wanted to go for the 90 rated Holland. And instead, I got literally every other player in the pack just about, including twice getting Salah, a 92 rated card that is the most rare in that pack. I got him twice before I got Holland, and I got each of the other players at least once. I got Trent Alexander-Arnold 3 times, and then I got another player, I can't remember who, twice. So all that money, which, I mean, easily over 100, was wasted. So before you go spending, you really need to think about this. Even in eFootball, for example, they'll have packs with 3 to 4 marquee players, and then out of those packs, they'll have a ton of, let's call them filler cards, that are essentially just fodder. But at least you know when you spin, you're going for one of those 3 players. If you already have one, you know you're taking a risk at potentially getting that duplicate. And if you don't want to, you just skip that pack altogether and wait for a pack where you want all 3 players. That's the best because it's a win-win. No matter who you get, you have a player that's going into your lineup. You don't have that option. And like we said earlier, you don't have the open market option. So if you want these top players, you, yes, are going to have to spend money, but you also are going to spend a lot of money on nothing in order to get those few positions you have to fill now filled up, because you're going to constantly get players that you don't need. Maybe they even replace the current starter that you have, but that wasn't what you were going for, and it wasn't something you would have spent on, right? That's what happened, for instance, getting Yamal and then getting Salah. I would have been fine with Yamal. I might even start the Yamal over that Salah card. So what does this mean for anybody looking to buy packs in UFL? It means that you have a good chance of getting nothing from the money that you spend. That's the unfortunate part. That's where the system is broken. In the long term, I'd like to see UFL fix this so that at the very least there's some guarantee that you'll get a player. Maybe not the player you want, but they need to make a system to where if you are going for a specific player, you have a way to work up to that, to where there's a certain amount of money that you can spend or a certain amount of packs where you get that player. In eFootball, when you spend for a pack, there is an amount where you can empty the whole box and you are guaranteed to get at least all of the marquee players. So if there's somebody you don't want as a duplicate, you're not going to spend. In UFL, there is not a way to do that because the packs are too big. It's not only 3 marquee players. It's 10, 20, whatever players. And you may only need or want 2, 4, 6 of them, but you may get the other 10. and never have a chance again at those 8. So you can do what I did and keep spinning for the Holland and hope that over time you eventually get that card. But I got literally everybody but him, including several duplicates. That's where the biggest issue is in UFL if you're spending money. So make sure you understand that. Don't make the mistake of getting however much LP, right? Whether you save it up, even though they don't release LP anymore, so you essentially have to put your money in. You can't just grind the game and get it. So don't expect to get that LP and then get that player you want. It doesn't work that way. There's a good chance that you get that LP, you spend it on the pack that contains that player or players you want, but then you don't get any of those players that you want at all. So you essentially put your money into nothing. So how do you get your team fully built out then, right? Say you have certain positions that are weaker and you want to fill those with better players. Well, obviously it's going to be easier when you start because every special player you get is going to be better than that standard player you have. But as those positions that you need dwindle down, that's where the duplicates come in. That's where you start packing players that you weren't going for. And even though they're, top cards or marquee cards, you already have a marquee player that's better in that position or that you're happy with. So that's where it becomes hard. And UFL, as of now, does not have an answer. The only thing you can do is either put that money in knowing that you might just waste it and get nothing, or just keep putting it in until eventually you do fill those spots in with special players. It is not very favorable. It's not favorable at all for the players. It definitely is favorable for strikers if they want to gamble on the fact that players will keep wasting their money to eventually get these spots filled, right? The risk that STRIKERZ is running is that players recognize this flawed system and just stop buying players altogether. Obviously, I did this partially for content, but I'm not going to use that as a scapegoat. Even if I wasn't covering content, knowing this flawed system, I'm the type of person that would still spend because, like I said earlier in the video, this is what I spend my money on as far as leisure goes, as far as hobbies go, whatever you want to describe it as, right? No drinking, no, like I said earlier, getting my hair did, cars, car accessories, golf clubs. This is it. So maybe STRIKERZ expects that there's enough players like me that will spin no matter what, despite knowing they might get duplicates. They're probably not going to get the player they want, but they're just hoping eventually they do. So we're taking that risk, and they're going to continue going with that system. The way we get it changed, unfortunately, for players like me who enjoy opening these packs is by not buying any of their crap, right? They can put it out with this flawed system, and when nobody buys anything, they go, well, we got to make a change. We got to offer guaranteed pulls at a certain amount of packs or players, more closely to an eFootball. So you may get, let's say Holland is your target, you may get him early, but at the most you'll spend 100, or at the most you'll spend 120, or whatever price range STRIKERZ comes up with. That is the more logical route, because I truly think that this system is going to run its course as they keep raising the power curve and releasing players and wanting more money. They're going to have to make a change. Players are not going to just keep spending these ridiculous amounts and coming up empty-handed over and over and over. How do I know this? Because I'm one of those people that loves opening packs. I'll spend money on them, but even I have a line, right? It's like insanity. You do the same thing over and over and expect different results, but when you put 100 in, then 160 in a couple weeks, and in a month 100, then a couple hundred later, and whatever amounts, it might be 20, then 50, then 80, and then eventually when you come up with nothing or get like one good pull out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, eventually you say enough's enough. So let's hope that STRIKERZ understands that as well, makes a change to the system, and they'll actually make more money in the long run and make their player base happy, which keeps players in the game. They keep them engaged and wanting to keep improving their team, as opposed to going to these other games. When you invest, and even more so when you get something out of your investment, you are more likely to stay engaged with that game, stay put, as opposed to going to other games. So that is my take, but you let me know yours in the comment section. Have you spent on packs for Black Friday or in the past? Are you fed up with the system as well? What would you do to change it? And last but not least, make sure you like this video if it was helpful or you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to join my Discord. It is free and it is the best community in football gaming. Plus, if you check out my YouTube bio, there are more perks that you can get while supporting the channel, from merch to YouTube memberships. Check that out as well, and make sure you stay tuned for more UFL and football gaming content. The king is back in UFL. Peace.